Taking the lead at the Department of Public Works is Joanne Brown. She's no stranger to the administration and planning. Former Governor Joseph Atta appointed her as Deputy Administrator of the Guam Environmental Protection Agency during his second term. At the end of Atta's second term, Brown ran for a seat in the 23rd Guam Legislature and won. She served 6 terms before deciding not to run again. During her tenure in the legislature, she was a stalwart for stringent environmental policies, proper land use, fiscal responsibility, ethical conduct, and infrastructure improvements. She served as Vice Speaker and Legislative Secretary and is Chairwoman of the Natural Resources Committee. Since leaving the legislature, she joined the University of Guam as Soil and Water Conservation District Liaison and Assistant Director for Soil and Water Conservation. She currently serves as Assistant Director of the Northern Guam Soil and Water Conservation District. Brown holds a Bachelor of Science and Masters of Arts degrees in Political Science from the University of Guam. Appointed by Governor Calvo to serve as administrator of the Guam Environmental Protection Agency is Ivan Kanata. He was the chief engineer at the agency's water division. He previously served at the airport as its chief engineer. Kanata also held several jobs in the private sector for many years doing engineer work. Before returning to Guam, he worked in Missouri for 21 years for the state government's Department of Conservation as a project engineer. He holds an Associate's of Engineering degree from St. Gregory's College and a Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Oklahoma. He is a professional engineer in the field of electrical engineering. Monty Mofness was recently appointed as the Administrative Director for the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. Mofness has extensive background in real estate. With the Chamorro Land Trust Commission continuing its uphill battle in implementing rules and regulations for leases and collecting on past due accounts, he says he will revisit all commercial leases and open up a dialogue on collecting on overdue rent on CLTC land. The new administrator says the top priority is registering all of the land in the agency's inventory.
Unfortunately, Kanata is unable to make it tonight. Now, if you'd like to chime in on our discussion, give us a call at 632-TALK. That is 632-8255. Thank you for being with us this evening. Monty, let's start with you and talk about your experience and what you bring to the table to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission.
Thank you, Sabrina. But before I proceed, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Calvo and Governor Tenorio for serving the people of Guam. And I've been in real estate most of my life. I've been a licensed agent and salesperson and broker for almost 30 years. I've been a member of the Territorial Planning Commission, Vice Chairman, also of the Territorial Seashore Protection Commission, the Place Name Commission, and the Central Planning Council. I've been a notary public for 10 years. I've been a member of the Municipal Planning Council for Molesso and currently the TUA, the Muning, Tuwan, and Harmon. I've been a member of many civic organizations and also church organizations. Thank you.
Senator Brown, how did you make your decision to serve as the Director of Public Works?
Well, I have to tell you, Sabrina, it was quite a surprise. I mean, certainly I had always anticipated, from the time I knew Eddie Calvo, and we have a long relationship that we've known each other over the years, but I knew there would come a time he was going to end up becoming Governor of Guam, and I would have no idea that there would be any expectation that he would ask me to take over the Department of Public Works. I think it was a surprise for me initially, probably a surprise to a lot of people knowing my background, my interest in natural resources. That would be more fitting of my interest. But we sat down, had a long conversation. We certainly did have a long conversation because I had to ask him, quite frankly, why would you want me to take over DPW? And I realized there are a lot of challenges with the department. You know, I've been in government a number of years, and I realize that there's issues there. There's a tremendously large mandate that the department has, and it's not always been positive. I mean, there's a lot of negative factors that the department has had to deal with over the years. So I had to think about it. I had to think of what his reasons are and what his expectations are and my skill sets that he thought would be beneficial for the direction he'd like to see DPW go in. And so we came to an agreement, and I said, well, let me try it out, let me see, and see what I can do from there, because certainly while there's challenges and a lot of people have a very negative view and going, why would you possibly take this department? And of course I asked myself that question. But at the same time, I think we have a tremendous opportunity. I think where there's an opportunity to grow and develop, and plus DPW is definitely, we move forward, this military buildup is going to play a very significant role, a role it's never had in the past. And I think one of my major responsibilities is to gear up that department and bring it up to a level of where we can be fully engaged in that process and ensure that the interests of our people are protected in that process.
Well, you said it, you know, you have a tremendous mandate. So where do you begin?
Well, there wasn't a lot of time to sit around and figure things out. I mean, while I'm in the process of absorbing a lot of information, I appreciate the time and briefings that I'm getting from the key managers, our key partners, especially with federal highways and dealing with the road construction that we're currently going through and what's coming. But there's not a lot of time to sit around and get acquainted with everything, because the crisis in some areas, like the busing issue, which I think is very critical, we have a very small window of time to get as many of our buses operational, because right now we've been leasing for quite some time about 15 buses a week at a cost of $13,000 a week from a private business. And that, to me, in terms of keeping our fleet operational, is not a desired option. And so with the recent funding that was passed under the sponsorship of Senator Tom Atta, we've been able to get remaining bond funds to work on additional rentals for what will give us only a 6-week window, and then additional funds that will allow us to buy the parts and materials and also contract out the work for more major repairs that have to be done to our school buses. But on an average day, we're only having about 90 buses operating, and that's not very good. That's at a critical level. What we need to do is get that up to 130, which would be far more comfortable to make sure that we can meet all the routes that are expected of us and ensure that we have reliable service for our school kids that are out there.
The other hot topic from DPW, of course, is road construction.
Yes.
What are you going to do about that?
Well, there's no doubt that our road construction process is a bit challenging and very frustrating for the public. All of us that drive on Guam's roads on any average day are annoyed with the road construction, anything that limits or slows down our ability to go from where we need to go from one point of Guam to the other. I think we need to do a better job in communicating with the public about what the schedules are, what's being done, if there are holdups for whatever reason. I mean, a lot of the reasons too have to deal with unmarked infrastructure that's under the ground that has to be addressed, water lines that have to be rerouted and things of that nature. But I think we need to be a lot more open and transparent with the community. It's a painful process. There's nothing enjoyable about road construction. The reality is we're going to be dealing with a lot more of it. But I think it's important to make the community included in that process, because ultimately, even though it's frustrating, the end product hopefully is going to be a better and more reliable road system, and I think that's something we get to look forward to. So it's a challenge, no doubt. But I think we've got an opportunity to work a lot better with the community in that area.
Monty, what about you? You've been on the job a couple of weeks.
Yes, I have. And I just wanted to say that I bring my real estate knowledge and expertise to Tomorrowland Trust because I want to serve the people. And my immediate goal is to work hand in hand and very closely with the regulatory agencies and the senators now that I'm entrusted with the most sacred value and assets, government lands. I have ideas of expounding on that, but number one, I would like to say that I started a receivables, and the receivables lead to delinquencies, and I intend to collect delinquent rents and real estate taxes for the people, because this money belongs to the people of Guam. Number two, I want to work closely with the Department of Land Management and the senators to try and find a solution or monies to register all unregistered lands. This exercise has to be completed once and for all. We cannot continue to give land that we don't know we own. Correct?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I can advise you in that department if you need help.
And number three, after we register the lands, hypothetically, hopefully soon, on my watch, I want to work with the regulatory agencies, senators, planners, surveyors, engineers, and the public who wants to assist us to develop and design a land use plan. I have many ideas to that effect. And lastly, I want to revisit the commercial leases, work hand in hand with the Attorney General to improve the provisions and sections of the lease to include delinquencies, late fees, escalations, reappraisals, insurance requirements, and condemnation.
Well, you know, Chris Duenas, Senator Duenas, he just introduced a bill
Okay.
that would, I believe, call for the Ancestral Lands Commission and the Chamorro Land Trust Commission to fall under the Department of Land Management. What is your position on the bill?
I think the intent is admirable, but the execution of the idea is always problematic. To date, I don't pay rent. Chamorro Land Trust does not pay rent. Thank you, DPW.
Well, you are on our I better think about that. The governor's asking us how do we can increase revenue, so.
Right off the get-go, we don't want to pay $2 or $3 a square foot. That would include utilities. There are issues and challenges within each department. And what bothers me about that law is they did not address the boards and commission. And I find that very problematic with me because we need checks and balances. And this law enables the administrator or director of land management to have full control. And that bothers me. I've been entrusted with the land, and I want to make sure we do the right thing. And given that it might work in theory, I humbly ask that I be given this opportunity to manage this division. I believe that I can take it to a next level. Thank you.
We are going to take a break. Ben from PD will get to you after this timeout.